r/AskReddit by Reddit and chill. NSFW artists of Reddit. What's the worst thing you've been commissioned to draw? I got one for Misty breastfeeding a Pikachu. But that's tame compared to some of these other comments. Compared to these, that's super wholesome and cute. I was commissioned to draw Gandalf using a staff as a bit plug. I really don't need to provide any more detail on what my reaction was. Thou shalt not ass. I was once asked to draw one of the squid girls from Splatoon erotically drowning to death in a maid costume. From that point on I had to add drowning-sification to my list of rules of commissions I will not accept. Edit. Because this blew up, I'll do it. I'll draw it. Stay tuned. Edit 2. Reddit.com link/Qmisasaurus comments D6MD3I probably the weirdest thing I've ever done for /UTM source equals share and UTM medium equals IOSAP and UTM name equals IRSMF. Erotically drowning to death. What? How? One can't just slap erotically in front of something and want porn of it. Someone once asked me to draw their character with a lot of foreskin. They showed me examples including art of some pretty disgusting looking, almost stretched taffy looking foreskins. It was pretty gross and honestly I had to say no. I barely do commissions either way but that had to be the weirdest kink someone's asked me to do. Luckily I pretty much never get anything of the sort normally. I like uncut dongs as much as the next guy but that was a level I never thought existed. Holy duck, this is hilariously disgusting. Reminds me of that meme where the GF uses her BF's foreskin as a blanket. I can't wait to see the follow-up post where someone draws every piece mentioned in these comments. Delivered. Squid girl from Splatoon erotically drowning to death in a maid costume. I threw her to a RimWorld's bioreactor for a good measure. NSFW? Her eyes are a mix between a cross, means death, and a heart, that cover erotic part. Feel free to throw money at me. Due to making stupid life choices I once wrote League of Legends erotic fanfiction for money or in-game currency. My 2 solid rules. No underage characters. No outright non-consent scenarios. About 1 out of every 5 requests was someone asking for one or both of those things anyway. The first request like that I ever turned down. The guy called me a dund. Later someone found my account and started getting people to harass me in game. Which was the point where I just said duck it and completely left that community. League has a really toxic community. I don't have an active commission page up at the moment because I'm trying to focus on my own work skill before I start charging folks again. But a few years ago I had someone ask if I would draw some pictures of his girlfriend getting ducked by a bunch of dudes. I told him I could probably do that but that I don't draw non-consensual sex and that I need confirmation that the subject was okay with being drawn. So he sends me about 15 photos of some young woman. All of which were candid shots. Clearly nothing she had posed for or necessarily been aware of. I replied back thanking him for the reference but that I would need something confirming her consent or else I was going to have to pass. Usually this is a posed shot with a piece of paper with their name alias written on it. At which point they got super aggressive about it. He started insulting me and my art. And then informed me that he was doing me a favor by paying a low skill artist to draw something fun. At that point I just washed my hands of the whole thing. Deleted the photos from my inbox and went about my merry way. About a week later I got another message from him full of more insults and threats that he'd be telling his friends not to commission me. Tame by most internet weirdo standards I guess. But it always sticks out in my mind as some rando trying to rope me into their creepy stalker fantasies. It's weird how many people think I told my friends not to commission you is an actual threat. Hooroo boy. Let's name 3. Mike Tyson raping their OC. Yeah, no, didn't even reply to that. The Reddit logo giving fellatio to a green skunk furry with a rainbow mane. I wanted to reply but couldn't. And maybe the worst of these 3. Tracer from Overwatch stuffing Son the skeleton up a donghole which was specifically requested to be, and I quote, an ovipositor dong that's shaped like a horsecoque with a vagina instead of a tip. These are all real. But gods I wish they weren't. Edit. Denied all of them, don't worry. That last one. Jesus. He couldn't draw. But he sure could paint a picture. Not an artist. But the guy from this thread comes to mind. Even Shadman turned him down. Oh my god, Wonder Bread guy. He came to mind when I saw this too. This was of my own volition. So feel free to shame me at your leisure. I wanted to be the first one to do Rule 34 of something. And this was right when Crayola released their new crayon. Beautiful. So naturally, I rushed and made the second ever Rule 34 art of Beautiful. It was rushed off and my first time drawing the entire genitals of a character. So it looks like hot garbage. Second ever. You mean someone beat you to it despite the fact that you made it a point to rush it? I did a trade commission once. It was the Pokemon Breakson and Lockini spit roasting humanized Fluttershy as she was strapped to some BDSM table. He asked for the Pokemon to look extremely effeminate but have massive cokes. But hey, I really wanted those classic Chaos Marines. Slanesh would be proud of you. Furthering excess to further your own excess. When I drew a lot online in high school, all SFW art. Mind you. Someone came to my request stream and asked that I draw Hiccup from How to Train Your Dragon getting dressed for the day. They were very specific about the type and color of underwear he was wearing. I didn't realize it was an inappropriate request until I had started the sketch and they kept asking me to change the pose to be further and further into the beginning stages of getting dressed. Disconnected my Wi-Fi so I could pretend the stream died. Nope. Good guy. I'm not a NSFW artist or even an artist anymore, but when I was in high school someone on DeviantArt had requested that I draw Sailor Jupiter turning into a Jack-in-the-Box. I politely declined. The store or the toy? This is an important detail. Remember that scene from the live action Scooby-Doo where Scrappy-Doo grows all big? That. Of all the things. Why this? Not an NSFW artist, but in middle school, I was probably 12-13. I had a friend's boyfriend ask me to draw porn of him and my friend didn't ask for anything in specific. Just asked for me to draw NSFW stuff of my friend. Which is bad, yes, but not as bad as a mutual friend of ours when he found out about this. This mutual friend asked for a porn comic of him and his girlfriend at the time. Specified the story, setting, sizes of everything. A lot of details. Nothing particularly creepy. It was all vanilla. But the fact that he was a kid and he wanted me to draw him doing this with his girlfriend? Christ. To clarify, I did not take either deals and later on told both of their girlfriends after the relationships had ended. I was too young at the time to have seen the full severity of it all and I regret not telling sooner. Edit. Their girlfriends didn't know about it until I told them. That is when puberty hits and having a girlfriend can lead to that kind of a thing. My artist friend advertised on Tumblr. He stopped because of this. He was offered $200 to draw and animate a gif of bestiality BDSM between Tony Tiger and that fox from Zootopia. My friend was going to decline until the person offered double. IDKWTF is wrong with someone that they wanna pay $400 for some freaky ass porn, but my friend stopped advertising on Tumblr because of that person. Say what you will about furries. At least they pay well for the art they commission. Seriously. If you're cool with drawing really weird shit, furry porn is a legit way to make money. Despacito spider with a buff man body. Did you accept? I legit didn't know there was so much money to be made having a literally no standards and a little bit of drawing talent. Honestly, the guy looking for large foreskin porn needs to come to me. I'll do it on the cheap and won't even judge. Here is a ducking odd one that came out of the blue. I have an idea for you to do duo action image and sex story where Bakugan Drago x Wavan and Helios x Skyrus x. Of course Wavan and Skyrus must have visible big tits and vagina. Then, now optional because it's a fetish, you do an epilogue where both give birth to a vivid baby Wavan, normally a Skyrus, while practicing anal sex with Helios. What the duck does any of that mean? I don't even advertise that I do commissions. Also, coolest thing I've ever been asked to paint was Darth Vader and stormtroopers wearing Jordans. Oh boy. Not commissioned as these were r/for exposure moments. But I've had one that stuck out to me because I think this guy was a pedo. He wanted me to draw two of my younger characters I drew. One was obviously a little girl wearing a flower dress. and draw them walking on his character's back barefooted. Apparently he had a foot fetish, and the fact he chose two little girl characters just made me cringe so bad. I never drew it or contacted him again. I was trying to get with a girl I knew in HS, and she came to stay with me from college to go to an anime convention and didn't want her parents to know she was in town. While we were at the con, she asked to borrow money for a commission. Next thing I know, I shelled out $75 to have her commission a picture of Jake Clawson from SWAT Cats, integrated into a chair made of thorny vines with the overly thick end of the vines shoved up his rectum. Return on investment was horrible, as I did not get laid. But maybe I lucked out. I was once approached to write, illustrate and colorize a full comic of gay furry erotica by a guy I went on one date with. I do fine art, so I don't know how he made that connection. Lol. The fine art of furry porn. A man wanted me to draw Naruto with a skirt, and when I had already started he asked for it to be free. So I was like, UHH no. Later I saw a trend in Twitter talking about how this guy asked two young girls for doing commissions of him and anime characters wearing skirts, and trying to pay nothing for it. A strange man with a very specific fetish. When I used it to sculpt in Bombay, I modeled a dunt out of clay. The guy stuck in his dong. The clay turned to brick and rubbed all his foreskin away. Limerick. Okay, so I draw a lot of fat furry art. Most people are just into the big bellies and stuff, but there's a contingent of fat fetishists who are into the more realistic aspects of obesity, as in health problems. One time I drew someone's fat character having a heart attack in the middle of waddling down a hospital hallway. Another time I was commissioned to draw someone's fat character in a hospital bed hooked up to life support. But midway through the commission he asked me to draw his character's leg recently amputated and in bandages. I said no and he was polite about it. But yeah, I guess those two are the worst for me. I will admit I am a really weird person. So there is a lot of other stuff I draw that other people will think is super duper weird. But from my perspective, those were the two commissions that were a little bit too far for me. I'm currently being asked to draw Gore. I'm not sure what he wants exactly, but I need the money. Oh boy. This is a question I can answer. I should mention that I am a furry, so please don't judge. Note I did not do any of these commissions besides number 4 and have a rule of only consenting parties being involved. A furry version of a Zoroark, a Pokemon, with a radioactive dong, and radioactive symbols all around their body, radioactive blood, and radioactive scat. This was an attempt to commission me for a reference sheet. Their page literally said, "I don't believe in paying for no art," or something to that effect. Someone has come into my stream 2-3 times asking me to draw their character raping a prominent asexual and sex-averse furry. This was actually for a good commissioner with tastes beyond me, and he was respectful when I said no. He had wanted a piece involving castration. The weird ones that I did when I first started. About a dozen Star Fox X Star Wolf slice of life pieces. That commission moved on to an odd crossover couple of Capcom's Firebrand and Disney's Gargoyles Brooklyn. Guy was polite, but was actively telling other people in my stream, and in other artists' streams, to not tell me to raise my prices. The sheer number of commissions was odd. I honestly did enjoy the commissions at that time, since I do like to see how my work on certain characters progresses. The weird requests are the worst. Never any offer of money for the weirdest shit. Stuff like draw you character on a toilet, squashing grapes, sneezing. People are weird and I just don't respond to those. I turned down a weird tickling hypnosis fetish commission for a minor. Because they were a minor. They then threatened to blackmail me for sending them 18+ content and wanted free art. Except I hadn't. I very much am as responsible as I can be in who can consume my adult pieces. I'm wondering. For that last one, how could you tell they were a minor? That possibility never occurred to me. It's almost impossible to tell online and minors can easily falsify their age. So I'm wondering what happens if your commissioner is a minor and you are unaware of that fact. I'm not a NSFW artist, I'm actually a kidlit illustrator, so the opposite, but when I was a young teenager I did requests on DeviantArt. I was about 13 when I got a request from this guy who kept asking me to draw different cartoon characters as babies. He would get upset if I drew them wearing onesies and insisted I draw them with their nappies showing. I went on his profile and he had a gallery full of requests and commissions of fanative different characters as babies. I mean hundreds of pieces. He had a blog too. That was the day I discovered what adult babies were. Ducking like and subscribe.